Hello everyone, and welcome to today's webinar for Game-Changing Technologies to help grow your business. My name is Kim Fellman. I'm a Marketing Coordinator at JMT Consulting. I'll be your moderator today, and I'm excited to be hosting this session. This webinar is brought to you by JMT Consulting. We are ERP and Financial Management Solution Specialists for nonprofits, and we have nearly 30 years of experience helping nonprofits with technology and business processes for the back office. And that is why we've partnered with Avid Exchange. They bring our clients a solution to help streamline their AP process, ease audit season stress, prevent fraud, and speed up approval processes and payments. We believe they're one of the best AP automation options for a nonprofit to consider for their organization. Before we kick things off today, I wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. First, today's webinar will be recorded and will be emailed to you for on-demand access along with the slides. Next, we'd love to hear from you during today's presentation. So if you have a question, please feel free to send it through the Q&A tab at the bottom of your control panel. We will have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of the presentation where we will answer all of your questions. And after today's presentation, we will be following up with all of you with a phone call. And as a special surprise, anyone who books a demo with Avid Exchange will be entered into a raffle to win a $50 gift card. So I'd like to get us started by welcoming Vanessa Curry and Tim Eyrich from Avid Exchange, who will be leading today's presentation. Vanessa is a partner marketing manager, and Tim is the senior channel manager at Avid Exchange. And without further ado, I'm going to hand things over to Tim to get us started. Tim, over to you.
Thank you so much, and welcome everybody. I appreciate your taking the time to be with us today and speak about this very important topic. So let's get started with our agenda for the afternoon. We are going to look at tech adoption today for game-changing technology, the value of automating AP, the Avid Exchange product overview, and then we're going to finish up with some Q&A. So the adoption of tech continues to accelerate, from business continuity related to the COVID-19 crisis and the impact of folks working from home. This has prevented companies relying on paper checks from being able to pay their bills. And there's also a massive fraud risk and growing concerns over fraud and data privacy with paper invoices and paper checks. Users have experienced the benefits of SaaS and cloud solutions for automation in other areas of the business. And finally, there's a millennial effect as tech-savvy, younger population folks take on leadership roles in organizations. So look at the familiarity with emerging technologies. In 2019, Avid Exchange research and white paper showed that the survey revealed familiarity with emerging technologies like AI, machine learning, big data, and blockchain. And it's astounding the results that we got from this survey, with 43% of people being familiar with AI, 34% with machine learning, 33% with big data, and 27% with blockchain. And blockchain is really something that's really been emerging over the last decade or so, and I see that percentage really shooting up. So the impact of technology adoption, you've got 68% of folks reporting that COVID-19 has caused work-related stresses to increase. Just imagine working from home and as you all experience having to drive or mail things around for approvals and so forth, whereas you normally would have been in the office and been able to do still manual tasks, but stop by colleagues' offices and get those signatures that you required. The work from home environment has totally really thrown a wrench in that. We've got 74% of people reporting that they've had to add new solutions or systems to their tech stack to assist in this environment. And 84% of people saying that emerging technologies like AI and automation would improve efficiencies even during a post-pandemic environment. So 4 game-changing technologies that we're going to look at today. AI, artificial intelligence, number 1. Number 2, the Internet of Things, or IoT. Number 3, machine learning. And number 4, automated solutions. And we're going to take a look at each one of these in more detail. Okay, so artificial intelligence, what is it? It can be defined as machines or computers mimicking cognitive functions that we associate with the human mind. An example of that is learning and problem solving, or any computer or IoT device that perceives its environment and takes action based on its learnings and acts to increase the chances of successfully achieving a goal. So how are businesses leveraging it today? Many B2B companies are already leveraging AI to improve operations, including financial services, with 83% of businesses citing it as a strategic priority. Among numerous benefits, the technology can boost labor productivity by up to 40% by automating mundane tasks that take up valuable time. For instance, freeing customer service agents and call centers and back office staff from tasks such as gathering preliminary information, tracking order status, processing invoices, and transcribing voice by text. By automating this work, companies cut hiring costs and free staff for more fulfilling strategic responsibilities. I'm sure, as myself, some of you have experienced this in the internet, where you go online and perhaps a text box pops up on that website, and they gather some of that preliminary information in order to route your need to the right department. All that does is make it more efficient and make a streamlined process for getting you to the right person. And AI is also used to audit financial transactions, detect fraud, and evaluate credit and overall financial history, and doing all that to make a recommendation of loan and credit offerings. So we see that AI market is predicted to grow by 190 billion just over the next 5 years. And 43% of research respondents are aware of AI use in fintech applications. 83% of businesses say AI is a strategic priority, and 40% boost in labor productivity by using AI. So some astounding results here related to artificial intelligence, and very interesting. The next aspect is Internet of Things, or IoT. And what is IoT? The Internet of Things leverages network connection to facilitate communication between devices and systems. Simple speaking, it's different devices talking to each other seamlessly. So we've got connectivity. The IoT is all about connectivity. No longer do businesses have to conduct various processes manually from different devices. The Internet of Things allows for communication and data sharing to happen quicker and easier than ever. You also have customer experience. The IoT allows for an increase in customer behavior data. How are customers using products, for example? And they use this to better understand and predict customer needs and reactions. Efficiencies and productivity. With the expansion of IoT within different areas of a business means increasing digitization, quicker speed to market, and overall increasing productivity and efficiency. Also have business insights. So what is measured can be improved. And IoT allows for businesses to monitor and collect detailed data across multiple areas of a business, whether in an office or remote. Companies can then leverage that data to make informed decisions that can enhance productivity and lower costs. Finally, there's cost. The more businesses use IoT to streamline operations, the more efficient they will be in expanding the use of IoT to impact their bottom line. The IoT can reduce costs through capabilities like energy monitoring that allows workplaces to control thermostats remotely, for example. Think Nest at your home, perhaps. And cybersecurity monitoring that mitigates risks and detects fraud, all for incident detection and sending those reports automatically to reduce downtime and save labor costs. So that's the IoT. Machine learning. What is this? It's a component within AI. Because it can analyze historical data, spot habits, and make predictions, the technology can forecast financial trends, predict market risk, reduce fraud, and even it can even delay a potentially fraudulent transaction until a human makes a decision. It can identify future opportunities, can also produce actionable insights gleaned from advanced reporting and data analytics tools, resulting in an in-depth visibility to give high-level members of an organization strategic insights. So an overview of our research is that companies of all sizes are continually inundated with massive amounts of data. Traditionally, they've relied on trained analysts and data scientists to harness the information and produce insights and analytics that are important components of business intelligence. But machine learning and big data technology, also known as predictive analytics, can help. About 1/3 of Avid Exchange research respondents are aware of the use of machine learning and big data in the B2B fintech space, but adoption is on the rise. IDC reports that worldwide revenues for big data and business analytics will surpass $203 billion in 2020. The fintech industry is one of the biggest drivers of its growth. According to PricewaterhouseCoopers, the industry is among the best positioned to take advantage of the technologies because it can analyze historical data, spot habits, and make predictions. The technology can forecast financial trends, predict market risk, reduce fraud, and even delay a potentially fraudulent transaction until a human can make a decision. Once that decision is made, they start identifying future opportunities as well. It can also produce actionable insights gleaned from advanced reporting and data analytics tools, resulting in an in-depth visibility to give high-level members of an organization strategic insights. Next, we're going to look at automation solutions. So business process automation takes time-consuming, manual, and maybe even paper-based processes and inserts them into software technologies to automate that process. All this does is allow employees to have more free time to focus on value-added work. Automation can take various forms across a business, from workflow automation to financial process automation, but the benefits of increasing efficiency rings true throughout. The types of business process automation are workflow automation, financial automation, human resource functions, marketing automation. And the benefits of automation are better allocation of resources, increased focus on larger strategic business goals and initiatives, deeper insights and detailed reporting, less room for human error, reduced time and costs, and of course, increased productivity. Now we're going to recap the four game-changing technologies that we dove into. Number one, artificial intelligence, or AI. Number two, the Internet of Things, or IoT. Number three, machine learning. And number four, automated solutions. What we're going to talk about now is the value of automation for AP. Automating AP provides visibility and control. You have real-time visibility into invoices and payments, including insight into expense accruals as they occur. You have improved efficiency, reducing invoice and payment processing times, streamlining approval workflows based on your business rules. Better time and labor, eliminating manual paper-based tasks, and allowing staff to focus on more strategic objectives. And you also get reduced costs. You obtain rebate incentives by paying vendors electronically, reducing processing costs without adding additional staff. There's plenty of benefits here for automating AP. And one thing we're going to dive into now, AP automation specifically with Avid Exchange. So Avid Exchange processes about 12 million payments annually. We have 1,500 employees. We're growing rapidly. Within that 1,500 employees is our 400 service members. This is the heart of our operation. They're dedicated to payment onboarding and processing, making sure that suppliers are paid on time, they're paid within the method that they want to be paid, whether that is check or electronically. They're adding 1,000 suppliers per week to our massive network. And our network already has 680,000 active suppliers. And like I said, every week growing by 1,000. The value and the benefit of this network of 680,000 suppliers is that we already have in our software, in our system, how these vendors and suppliers like to be paid. We have their merchant account if they want to receive a credit card. We have their ACH information if that's how they want to receive payment. Or we have the check information in our system so that checks get cut right away and sent to them. So we have this massive network. So when we add new clients, so often we already know how their vendors prefer to be paid. We integrate with 150 accounting systems, and we have already over 5,500 customers that are using Avid Exchange every day. So what are the options for using Avid Exchange? We have two automation solutions. We have an invoice process, which is called Avid Invoice. We have a payment process, which is called Avid Pay. And we're going to get into those in more detail now. We're going to start with Avid Invoice. Avid Invoice allows you to eliminate touch points to pay and receive money faster. So to better understand the benefits of automating accounts payable solutions, it's important to look at the similarities and differences of the two methods for handling AP. This can help you identify bottlenecks in your own process that can be solved with automation. So right now you're looking at the flow before automation. The accounts payable process begins when your invoice is received by the AP department. Invoices arrive through many different methods, including electronically, perhaps through email, maybe they're faxed over, snail mail, inter-office deliveries, or maybe a colleague dropping paperwork off in an inbox or on your desk. But when AP processes are not centralized, and the handling and processing each new invoice is essentially an ad hoc adventure. Think about all the many processes you may have in place in terms of approving those invoices. Does it need 2 signatures? Well, it's above a dollar amount, so I need this person to sign off and so forth. Once invoices are received, they're either physically handed to the AP manager or team member or forwarded if they come in via email. Invoices are manually typed into an accounting system and maybe scanned in as well to create that digital record. And this is really the best case scenario and assumes that an ERP system is in place. However, still plenty of opportunity for manual errors and typos in this scenario. After automation, this is what you do. Process is streamlined and simple. You code the invoices, you approve the invoices, and you select the invoices for payment. Other than these 3 green tiles that you'll retain responsibility for, everything else will be offloaded by the automated solution through Avid Invoice. Receiving those invoices, routing them, the workflow, all of that will be automatic, built specifically and customized to your business needs so that it makes sense for your business and you have all the efficiencies in place that you need with all the particulars in place. We can have millions of different scenarios in place and workflows in place. It just shows you how customizable software is, that we can really do anything to meet your need to make sure that the workflow makes sense for your business. But in the end, all you have to do are these 3 things: code, approve, and select. So invoices are imported into our system in one of 3 ways. They can be emailed in. We have a specific email address that would be created for your business. Think abcplumber@avidxchange.com, right? So any invoice that comes in for ABC Plumber, that could be sent to that email address and routed right into the workflow that we customize for you. You can also have paper invoices. We set up a specific PO box for your company. If you receive a lot of paper or any paper invoices, they could be set up on the East or the West Coast to really streamline receiving those invoices on your behalf. Any invoice, whether it's paper or email, we have a less than 24 hour to get that in your workflow. So it's it's almost always same day. The invoice comes in and it's right away put into your workflow. There's also an upload option that you have the ability to do if, you know, those one-offs that maybe someone comes in and does work for you and leaves the invoice right there that day. You have the option of just scanning that in, or you could take a picture of it and email it over to the email address. Really, really simple way of creating that digital record and that keeping that repository of all your invoices in our portal. What we're going to do on your behalf is once those invoices come in and we've received them, we're going to capture the header detail. We're going to populate all of that information into the portal for you. So think invoice number, date, whoever the vendor or supplier is, and so forth. All of that information will already be populated for you and ready for you to review and submit for approval. So this is the pending approval queue, and this shows all invoices requiring action specific to each user's role. As I said, we could customize this however it makes sense for your business. We don't have any user license fees, so you could have 3, you could have 10 users. It's up to you, really, how many users you want to give access to the portal and how you want to assign their roles. Their roles could be coding or a simple review. Whatever the role that makes sense for that person, we can build that into the workflow. Users will have easy access to all the pertinent data from the invoice number, supplier ID and name to the amount. So those users, maybe they don't need access to the accounting system. They don't need to make any changes in the accounting system. They just need to look at invoices that come in. This is a perfect way that they can have access to the Avidxchange portal for that invoice review, but they don't have to have access into the accounting system and have to pay for that user. The manual approval process and paper invoices slow down payables and consume lots of your time, and it really leads to missed discounts. So the users in here can have access to all the pertinent data from the invoice number, supplier ID, and name to the amount of that invoice. And Avid Invoice makes approving invoices really as simple as selecting and clicking approve, as you can see in the top right-hand corner, that blue button. Of course, they could drill down into the specific details of any invoice. We're going to take a look at what that looks like here. So if they wanted to, any user wanted to drill down into an invoice, you can see on the left that header detail that we've populated for you. Of course, you can see on the right that PDF image that's captured from the invoice itself. And the left-hand side with that invoice detail, as I mentioned, it shows you all the header information. It shows you here at the bottom where the coding takes place. And Avidxchange has smart coding tools that help you populate this information, which can save you a ton of time and reducing a lot of that tedious manual aspect of coding. Some of our smart coding, for example, could be a default GL. For example, when you receive an invoice from a specific supplier, we could default GL for 100% of that amount to pre-populate to a specified account code. We also have use previous functionality, which remembers how an invoice was previously coded, and then it remembers that for subsequent times that an invoice comes in, and the system will remember to distribute the lines associated with a particular supplier and supplier account number combinations. So some really awesome features in here to help save you time and money, and really just help automate your invoice approval process. And it gives you that depository of all of your invoices that you could have that digital record, and we keep this for you essentially forever. We've never in our 20 years gotten rid of any data, but we have a commitment to keep it for at least 7 years for you. And of course, if there was ever a time that you needed to download any of this, you could download this data into a CSV file. Another magical thing about this is, without having to pay for any additional user licenses, if you go under audit, you could easily provide your auditor a read-only access to this portal, and they would be able to then gather all the information they need. And think about how much time that saves you, that you're not making copies or running around trying to find that invoice or any of those approval details for that auditor. They could just come in here with that read-only access. They would not be able to change a thing, but they could search for whatever they wanted to audit and look at. And then you could, of course, just delete that access after audit. The next solution we're going to look at is our pay solution, and that's Avid Pay. Avid Pay is all about our network. So as I mentioned, you get that 680,000 suppliers. We know, because we pay these suppliers every month, some of them maybe even every week or multiple times a week, we know exactly the conditions under how they like to receive payment. So we have 3 different payment methods. We have a MasterCard option, we have an Avid Pay Direct option, and we have a check. So many of these suppliers want to receive electronic payment. It's quick, it's efficient, it's protected. There's essentially 0 chance for fraud with that electronic payment. They don't have to worry about waiting, several days for a check to come in the mail, or stolen checks or lost checks and so forth. We have so much security around our e-payment in place that's really how so many of them choose to be paid. We have a 28% average of day 1 supplier coverage. We've got over 4,000 utility suppliers. We've got over 30,000 APD suppliers, and that's Avid Pay Direct, and that's our enhanced ACH option that we provide for our suppliers, which gives them rich remittance details. And they have what's a beautiful thing that they enjoy is our supplier portal, where they can go in and really track their payments and see when they're due to receive that payment. And it's a wonderful feature that we also provide to your suppliers. We have over 300,000 suppliers enrolled in e-payment. So you can see that's how we get to our 40% average e-payment adoption. And really the beauty of that, the power of that is with the e-payment, we receive kind of a rebate through that. So the cost of doing business for suppliers is if they want to receive payment right then and they accept a MasterCard through their merchant account, they have a fee structure in place with MasterCard. Of course, they may have limits on this. They may only want to take payments under $1,000 on MasterCard, and we have all of that built in, as well as agreements with them not to pass on any of those costs of doing business to our customers. So that's another question that a lot of times we get is, if our vendors are being paid by MasterCard, are they just going to pass it on to us? And we only provide MasterCard to them within their agreements. We do not try to get them to accept a MasterCard outside of their agreements. It's all up to them, all up to the suppliers on how they want to enroll in that. But what that means is if we get revenue from MasterCard based on that transaction, we're actually able to share it with you as our clients. And that rebate that's provided to you really offsets a lot of that cost of adding a solution like this. In some cases, pays for the solution, or even becomes a profit center for you in your department. So it's really a spectacular solution. We're going to look into it in a little bit more in depth right here. So Avid Pay optimizes and automates the payment process. Using payments generated from your accounting system, we're only going to make a payment if you approve it. Avid Exchange begins the payment process and provides you with the option to approve payments before money movement begins. However, once those payments are approved, money will be pulled from your existing bank accounts, and payments are made to suppliers, as I mentioned, either the virtual card, it's a one-time use MasterCard, and the security around that is that MasterCard can only be accepted by the vendor it's meant for. There cannot be any interception of that MasterCard by a rogue colleague or any other company. It can only be used at that supplier in their specific merchant account. So there's a lot of security there. Avid Pay Direct, which is, as I mentioned, our enhanced ACH option with the rich remittance detail that we provide to that supplier. Again, this is connected to that supplier's account, and there's a lot of security that we go in place to make sure that money is being sent only to an account that's associated with that vendor and the one that their ownership selects. We also have, of course, the paper check option. We don't want to delay any payment to any vendor. So we have the check option, and of course, any vendor that wants to receive check, we're happy to pay them in that way. So as I mentioned, the virtual card is a one-time use MasterCard. It's preloaded with just the right amount of fund to pay the approved payment for the invoice. So if the invoice is $88.13, that MasterCard only has $88.13 on it. Suppliers that accept that form of payment must already have their own merchant account to accept virtual cards. And since the virtual card is pre-funded, there's no credit involved. We also have, as I mentioned, the Avid Pay Direct, APD, the enhanced direct deposit. This is our other form of electronic payment that suppliers can choose if they cannot process virtual cards. And once a vendor enrolls in the APD program, all payments are automatically deposited into their desired bank account from the Avid Pay clearing account. It's an electronic, our electronic remittance is also sent to those suppliers' preferred email address. And I mentioned something that I want to touch on, which is the Avid Pay clearing account. So your money is never commingled with Avid Exchange money. It's never put into any Avid Exchange bank account. We use a clearing account in a trust that all of our clients become members of, and money is only placed into those clearing accounts, never into Avid Exchange accounts, and never into Avid Exchange. It's never commingled with Avid Exchange money. Another thing I want to point out is on these payments, as I said, we debit your account for payments that you approve. We do it in individual debits. That way it's easy and clear for you to keep a record of that and to go back and see that each debit was made individually. We never do a bulk debit. We also have, as I mentioned, the Avid Pay check, and paper checks are always available as payment options to suppliers. Avid Pay checks are also issued from the Avid Pay clearing account, which eliminates the client's exposure to check fraud and risk. It includes positive pay at no extra cost for every check that's printed. And for consistency, Avid Pay checks are formatted identically for all standard Avid Pay clients, but they do reference the client name for ease of reconciliation against the invoice. And so those are our payment options. And then of course, we provide all of those details back in our portal for your reconciliation. We provide images of the cleared check front and back, provide all the remittance details from an Avid Pay Direct is in your portal, as well as any virtual card information is in there. That way you can do the reconciliation and see that the payment has cleared, when it cleared, and so forth. So there's a lot of data in there that helps you keep track of your payment process as well. So those are the two solutions for Avid Exchange, the Avid Invoice and the Avid Pay solution. And with that, we're going to move over to questions and answers.
Thank you, Tim. So if anyone has a question for Tim or Vanessa, you can submit it through the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen.
All righty. Thank you, everyone, for attending today. It does look like we have a couple of questions in the queue. The first one, Tim, is, can I still print checks?
That's a really good question. Of course, we understand that there's times when you still need to print checks in-house. You might have a vendor or supplier come over that day. Like I always use the plumbing example. A lot of times plumbers come at the last minute. It might not be anticipated. It might not be one of your regular payments, but they come and they fix an issue, for example, your office or facility. And a lot of times folks like to write them a check right then and there. Of course, that's fine. They give you an invoice and you give them a check, or maybe you write the check and put it in the mail that day. That's of course fine. We accommodate for that, and we also offer a self-managed payment option that allows you to print MICR checks, blank check stock. So there's a lot of options around being able to keep those payments in-house and those one-offs. Of course, you could also always, write the check and you have the invoice, and like you could scan or take a picture of it and upload it right into our system. So you have that digital record of the invoice in the system, and then you just notate it as paid on that day so that you don't need to process that payment through Avid Pay. Great question.
Okay, thank you. Here's another one. Do you have a feature, supply requisitions and purchase orders?
Yeah, so that's a great question as well. So we do have features for purchase orders and requisitions, and it really depends. It's something that we'd like to dive into on a demo on how we set up that functionality. It's because it's really dependent on accounting system and so forth. So it's a really great question that we can solve for. We have it within our suite of software solutions, and certainly would love to show you our options on that if you're interested in seeing them after the webinar. Sign up for a demo. I would love to get your information and schedule that to show you. Absolutely, great question.
Okay, excellent, thank you. Can I send all of my vendor payments through Avid Exchange Pay?
Yes, of course. So you could send all of your domestic payments through Avid Pay. Only payments, of course, that you select to be paid are going to be paid by Avid Exchange. Examples of payments for that sometimes we get asked about, like employee reimbursement or intercompany reimbursements, dividends, and so forth. There's taxes. Some of those payments keep in-house, but otherwise, yes, all your regular utility and vendor payments to U.S. companies we can facilitate. And it's a great question.
Okay, thank you. Here's another one. Can you give another example of how Avid Exchange uses machine learning?
Yeah, so machine learning, one thing that we do is, in addition to, I know I mentioned like our smart coding and use previous functionality and default GL functionality on the invoice side, we also have a lot of machine learning on the payment side with some of our e-payments that, we have bots and so forth that can process hundreds of these payments almost instantaneously. That's the beauty of software. Once vendors are in our network and we have how they like to be paid, whether it's check or we have methodology for their merchant account and receiving virtual cards and their ACH information, we have computer bots that are able to process, like I said, hundreds and hundreds of payments very quickly. So it's just another beauty of automating.
Okay, thank you. And it looks like another one popped up. Will my invoice approval process need to change?
So that's a good question. We work with every client to basically set up the system the way they want it to work. So we provide opportunities, of course, to maybe improve existing processes and find those efficiencies. But if after our discussions, there's no need to change or want to keep everything the same and just put it into technology, of course, we can mimic any approval process that's in place today. It's really a consultative approach that our onboarding team works with our clients to really figure out the best and ideal way that they would like the process to work. And that may mean changes or it may mean that things stay the same. It's really up to the client.
Okay, great. That does look to be the last question in the queue. If anyone has another question that they would like to ask, we do have some time to get those answers. Give you a few minutes if some.
I had a question for you, Tim. So
Sure.
JMT's clients, or the two ERP systems that we work with, are Sage Intacct and Community Brands MIP. Can you talk a little bit about the integration between those two systems?
Sure. So, you know, for Intact, Sage Intact, we have a great solution that integrates with both the invoice and the pay features of Avid Exchange. If there are, I know there was a question about POs, we have that functionality within Intact. So we have really a great integration there in place that can solve for a lot of needs. And of course, depending on all of those needs, that solution could even be like a nice, beautiful API connection into that. And sorry, can you remind me of the other kind of MIP? Sorry.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So again, we have a really solid integration with MIP as well, and we have some customers, of course, that are on that as well. And the great thing about Avid Exchange is we will customize our solution specific to your needs within those two, whether it's Intact or MIP. Whatever your needs are in order for the connectivity of that accounting system to our solution, we work with our software architects and we work with our solutions consultants in order to make that connection and integration the way that you need it to work. And that's a lot of the part of our demo process and gathering more information about the specific needs of clients on either system, on either accounting system. And why it's so important that we get our solutions consultants and software architects involved, and we get them involved really early in terms of clients coming to us, because we want to make sure that we build out that integration and connection exactly the way that you want to see it.
Okay, thank you, Tim. It does look like we have another question that popped up. Is the integration automated, or does it require initiation from the company accountants?
So that's a great question, and it again, it depends on the accounting system. So we have integrations with over like 150 now accounting systems, and depending on the accounting system, the version, and so forth, it could be as seamless as the API connection, where these systems are speaking back and forth to each other all the time throughout the day, and really doing all that. Sometimes we have maybe a file integration where it could be you know, a click of a button to upload that file, and it just, as I mentioned, it really depends on the accounting system and the version. And those are questions specific to clients that we would love to discuss on a personalized discovery and demo session. So that way we can really understand their needs and see what we can do to solve for those needs.
Okay, that's excellent. It looks like that may be the last question we have today. Again, we would like to thank everyone for attending. We hope you have found this to be informative. JMT Consulting will be following up with you, and we wish everyone a great day. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Yep. So this will conclude our webinar, and I hope you all have a great day.